So, obviously, when Killer Klowns came out and went to the box office, it didn't make that much money.
Right.
So, obviously, that probably was a little bit of a letter of disappointing. But what was it like to see it kind of take off on home video and make back all the money from your budget that you guys spent?
Well, you know, we were just hired as actors, so we weren't, we weren't trying to make our money back. That was somebody else. But to be honest with you, I don't think at the time when they made this movie, they put it out theatrically, but they didn't really put any money behind it. It was more about, I think, it was the time when VHS sales were really big, and so it was more like, they do a tiny little bit of theatrical just to push all the VHS sales. So I don't think it really had a big theatrical intention behind it. And it kind of found its legs, through running on, when it started running on all the cable shows and things, and people started to really discover it, that's when it became popular.
The first time I saw the movie, I got pickpocketed in the theater.
Oh, come on.
What? So I just didn't have a great feeling about guns for a while. So I got pickpocketed. But I will say that, when my kids were just little, we started seeing Killer Klowns around more and started getting checks, and people started posting things on Facebook and Instagram, and I thought, wow, what is going on with Killer Klowns now? So it was cool.
I think we've all made more money on residuals than we did for actually shooting the film.
100%.
Right? Crazy. So yeah, I think that's where we've seen it. It's aside from going in the spirit of Halloween and going, holy, all right, this is really something.
Yeah, but not for a long time. We didn't see this for a long time.
Well, yeah, for a long time the rights were kind of screwy, and there was nobody really there collecting the money. The company that made the movie went bankrupt or something, and then all of a sudden it was the rights got sold to MGM, and we started seeing really nice checks again.
And I think one of the best parts about the movie actually is meeting all of you and hearing your stories and seeing how it's actually got a multi-generational appeal. So grandmothers or grandfathers show to their grandbabies and so on and so forth, and everybody shares it. And I think that's been like one of the most awesome parts of the movie, is hearing everybody's experience of the movie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What was your first impression when you saw the clown outfits?
Oh, they were creepy.
Were they freaked out by you, or
What's that?
the clown outfits when you first saw them for the first time? What was your take on it?
Yeah, the clown outfits were pretty, crazy and wild. But the clown, I think the thing that we were most kind of amazed by was the sculptures they did that were the clown faces.
Yeah.
Those were kind of the more wild things.
Pretty groundbreaking back then.
Yeah, the clown outfits were a little bit more like clown outfits, but the clown faces were like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were just wacky and beautiful and so creative, and it was
They were kind of
really
funny
to see
and
them.
scary and gross at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And then the faces were the scary part.
And I spoke to John about it, but when was the last time you guys saw the movie?
I think probably at a convention or something. Every once in a while before the panels, they'll actually really have a screening of it,
Yeah.
which is fun. So probably in the last couple of years, there was I'm sure there was a screening or something that we saw.
It's been 36 years for me.
Oh, really?
I saw when it came out. That was it.
So when I became a mom, I wasn't acting anymore, so my youngest didn't even know I was an actress until some of her friends' parents started talking about the movies I was in. So I started watching those movies again when she was old enough.
Right.
Saying that wasn't what I was doing anymore.
All right, thanks, guys.
Can you share with us what it was like working with John Vernon?
Terrifying. Well, to me, he was very intimidating as a person. He's a big man, very serious, and he showed up in character, and we were all in awe of him. I was, from knowing, obviously, being big fans of his work. And as we were young actors,
Killer Klowns, Dave.
yeah.
Killer Klowns from outer space, Dave. Really, Dave?
There you go. I mean, and coming from John Vernon, that was enough to quaking. But no, he was really a professional. He was really good at what he did, and you know, you learn as young actors from watching the old timers, right? So I think we all learn professionalism from him. He wasn't a guy who clowned around on a set, literally, and no pun intended. And I think, for me, what I took working with him, I took away was you show up and you do your work. And that, but he was, to me, he was a very intimidating human being.
I mean, he had a powerful presence on the set. I remember thinking, I mean, Steve was the director, but I felt like John was directing all the scenes we were in.
John was,
Yeah,
and the thing that's remarkable about John is because, he does have that kind of, I guess you'd call it gravitas, that very heavy presence,
Yeah.
but he has amazing comic timing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very few people that can deliver kind of almost like a bad guy line, but nail the comedy timing of it on the spot, right? And he did it every single time.
And he was very generous.
Yeah.
Like he was really present there for you.
I mean, I was supposed to be intimidated. Like Dave was supposed to be standing up to him, right? But so it kind of worked for us because I kind of cowered before him, and it worked quite well.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
But you guys kind of hear me some questions. But the pie scene, how did much did you guys enjoy getting pie in your face at the end?
Not much.
It hurt.
It hurt.
They were throwing them from 12 feet up in the air on these ladders.
I was gonna go in and get my acne fixed, and I didn't have to afterwards because the acid pies just cleared up my complexion.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be fun. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get hit in the face with pies. I thought it was gonna be funny. It kind of hurt. It wasn't very comfortable.
The most fun part was when we actually did the clown car. When we did the whole "What are you gonna do with those pies, boys?" Because that was all of us, the
Yeah, that was
entire
fun.
cast and crew. That was all of us, and you can imagine, picture, he's saying the lines, and they filled up like 40, 50 plates with pies. So each one of us had 2 in each hand, and we're standing right behind the camera, and the director's going, and we all threw the pies at the same time. That was everything was done practically, so that was all of us throwing those pies. And we got it. They got the revenge back on us.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. I just want to say thanks for being here, big fan. And I just want to start off by saying I will keep this PG-13 just like the movie, but I have to pick your brains on something. So back when Killer Klowns from Outer Space came out, a lot of people were still afraid of clowns, and some people still are today. But American culture is always changing, and there's always subcultures popping up. In the past 10 years on the internet, there's been a new movement known as the E-Clowns, where now there's the sexy clown girls and clown guys online, and sometimes, they get money from the streams, but are you aware of this movement? And if so, what are your thoughts?
You're saying there's a way for us to monetize our streams?
Yes, some people are looking back at the movie now in a different light. They really have
We're listening.
So what are your thoughts on the E-Clown movement, if you are aware of this?
So I actually was at a convention in California, and they had a striptease vaudeville act with female clowns.
Wow. Okay, so you're aware of it already.
Yeah. And this was a while ago. And I went with my son to come in. He was like in his early teens. I was like,
Why am I always the last to know?
Yeah, it's really big now, but thank you again.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
What was implied to happen when the rest of the citizens just went up with the spaceship? What was supposed to be implied to happen?
Wait, I'm sorry?
Like when, at the end of the movie, when you guys get out, the rest of them just go up with the things. And they
Boom. That was supposed to be the end of the movie. So the movie, the way it was scripted, ended with with Dave and the Terenzis up in the spaceship, blowing up, they're gone, and the two of us hugging, and the police cars come up, end of movie. But when they screened the movie, everybody's saying, we really like the Trenz brothers, we really like the character of Dave, we'd like the movie better if they were still alive. So we got a call, and it was several months after we finished shooting, and they said, my hair was already back to the blonde again, and they spray painted it dark, and we showed up one night out in the valley in Los Angeles.
Family House parking lot or something.
In a parking lot. And they had the clown car, and we reshot that last scene, which was just added on to the end of the movie, right?
Thank you. Good question.
That's a good question. So you know what really helped with not getting nightmares? First of all, working nights, so we were really tired. But also because the Killer brothers explained everything to us. So what was really cool about working with them was they showed us how everything worked and what was going to happen. And so it made the clowns not as scary. Does that make sense? Because you knew who was operating them and what was going on.
And we still got nightmares.
I have nightmares.
I like your makeup.
Thank you.
With all your years of experience in the industry now, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Don't take myself too seriously. Suzanne and I've talked about this, where when we did this film, you're young actors getting your career started, and you want to be, every actor wants to be taken seriously. So, what we grappled with then was, oh my God, we're doing this film called Killer Klowns from Outer Space. How is anyone going to take us seriously, going forward? I would not have belabored that too much, going back and reliving that experience. I wouldn't have worried about it.
I agree. Looking back, they say hindsight with foresight, right? But the people like, Nick Cage, Jack Nicholson, guys like that have won Oscars and they still do crazy genre kind of movies, but they own it, you know what I mean? And at least for my own part, and I think that Suzanne and John, we were all young actors trying to get that next breakout role to be taken seriously, and we probably all were just taking ourselves a little too seriously.
We should have owned it the way these guys
I should just own it the way they did. Instead, I do this today, I do that tomorrow. That's right.
Yeah.
You guys did a musical about this. What would be one scene that you would change from the original to the new one?
One scene,
One scene from the original movie. Like, if you guys were directors of like a new Killer Klowns from Outer Space, what scene would you
Would we
guys
change from the original? I think Dave would have ended up with Debbie. That's what right?
I think it's a little bit open-ended. I mean, I don't know if they ever really figured out, at the end of the movie, who knows, right? When you're young, it could go any way. So, I don't know. That's it's a good question. I have to think about it.
We'll get back to you on that. You stumped us. Good question.
All right, thank you. Hi guys, thanks for being here today. Have you guys played the Killer Klowns from Outer Space video game? Are you guys aware that it's out? Have you played it?
I have not played it. I've been waiting for actually the company to send me the game. The hard part is we were supposed to have them actually for here to sell and sign up, and we didn't get them in time. But my son has played it and he loves it. And actually, we were going to play it here when the clowns were coming. We were going to go to a place and play it. This guy put it all up and it kind of fizzled out. But I'm looking forward to playing it. I've heard it's great. And we've seen it. No?
No.
I hear it's really addicting. People have been coming to me all weekend long and telling me, I'm trying to enjoy it.
And they do these DLCs that I think I'm done with it, and then next month there's these new limited DLCs that are coming out, so it's like, damn.
So I have a question. I asked one of these questions, but I want to know all three of the questions. If you were a killer clown, what would your clown name
be? She'd be Beauty. Beauty.
I said Debzilla, so there you go.
I don't know, what clown name would you give us if you were naming us as clowns? And you are the president of your college or clown.
University Horror Society.
There you go. So this is very interesting.
Wow, pressure on me. Yeah. I think Debzilla is perfect, because you just said that it was a past hours. This is hard.
Maybe something with tobacco.
You'd be chewy.
And shooting. They go shooting.
Yeah, and shooter. Shooter.
Maybe Shooter and Debzilla.
Perfect clowns.
Love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Simple question. What's your favorite kill scene in the movie? Maybe not a simple question.
For me, I think it's, what are you going to do with those clowns, boys? The melting security guard, I think so.
I like the shadow puppets.
Shadow puppets are really cool. I don't know, I kind of like the head bouncing,
That's my block out.
the shorter.
Not my block out.
That's a good one, too.
That would be my second.
Yeah, thank you.
I was working at Halloween Horror Nights the first year that they did the scare zone, and I got ready right by where the guys were putting on their costumes, so I saw firsthand how clumsy they are in those things. Was there like a lot of pauses in filming?
Oh, yeah.
Collected them off the ground, like got bumped into?
Yeah.
They will tell you those stories. Yeah.
I think in hindsight, they should have hired scuba divers to be in the suits because they're used to walking in those flippers. That's what those big shoes were. They're like walking in great big flippers.
Yes, there was a reason why they moved so slow.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, they kind of force you to act like clowns though, right?
Yeah, that's true. Big dramatic movements so you stay out of their wingspan. Thank you.
But they did take a couple tumbles.
I would love to see the bloopers for sure. Thank you.
I know that Halloween Spirit has an animatronic of Shorty.
Sorry again?
How do you feel the fact that Halloween Spirit has an animatronic of like one of the clowns?
I think it's pretty cool.
Super cool.
It's awesome.
There's actually more than one. There's 2 or 3 now. There's a tall one and a shorty, and it can be like a fatso or something like that.
Here in case this got asked already, but what was the cotton candy made out of?
Was it insulation?
I think it was that stuff that you spray in the attic.
Yeah, it was insulation. Yeah, they pulled apart sheets of insulation.
It's probably pure asbestos or pure.
I figured that it was something like that.
Yeah, it was very similar to the kind of thing that if you go up into the attic and you see that they spray it and it becomes insulation.
Thank you.
I have a question for Suzanne. You were in a show that was on when I was a kid, and I hadn't thought about it until I'd seen it recently. Jake and the Fat Man. Oh, I'm so happy somebody else remembers it. Any fun stories from Jake and the Fat Man? Any fun stories from Jake and the Fat Man?
I had a really big crush on Joe Penny when we were shooting it. Joe Penny? Yeah, he was
Joe Riptide Penny?
yeah, and I did Riptide with him also. So I worked with him twice. Yeah, they were just really nice. It was just a fun episode to be in.
John, you were in a show that was basically lightning in a bottle on 24. Any fun stories from 24?
Oh gosh, that's wow, I hadn't thought about 24 in a while. No, that was an extraordinary acting experience because I was working with Gregory Hudson, who played President Logan, and probably the greatest actor I've ever worked with. True brilliance. He passed away a couple of years ago of a heart attack. But it was, as an actor, my first day on the set, I had no lines, but I called my wife at lunch and I said, I'm getting a master class in acting right now, because I'm working with Greg Edson and this guy named Jude Cicolella, two New York stage actors, and we formed kind of the Western White House back then. So I was the president's chief of staff, and this other guy, Jude Cicolella, was one of his other staff members. And it was like going to do a play every day at work, because these guys, nobody ever dropped a line. They would come totally professional, but they would say to me, the rest of the cast said, listen, you don't want to ever work with Kiefer Sutherland on this show, because when you work with Kiefer, it means you're about to die. And sure enough, when the day came for me to have my scene with Kiefer, I got the script for the next episode, and I was off. I was like, oh, I was just crushing it. It came through. Yeah.
This question is for Suzanne. You got any good stories for Return of the Living Dead 2?
Yeah. So I had the pleasure of mostly doing my scenes with Jimmy Karen and Tom Matthews. And Tom and Jimmy have the same birthday, and they did the previous Return of the Living Dead, and so they were really close friends. And Jimmy would just sit in the car and tell us stories from the past, and we would laugh so hard that we had to like get ourselves back together before we could do a scene. And I would come home and I'd go, oh my God, my face hurt so much. It was because I laughed so hard every night. We just had a lot of fun.
How you doing? This question is for Suzanne. It's also, how do you feel about the legacy of Return of the Living Dead Part 2?
Well, I love Return of the Living Dead Part 2. I'm a big fan of what Ken did with it. I thought it was really creative and really campy, and I thought that it was awesome to bring Jimmy and Tom back. So I enjoyed the movie. I just thought there were so many funny scenes in it.
It is a lot more campier than the first one.
Way more campy, right? I love when all the people come out of the ground and they kind of do like the chiller dance thing and everything. It's just fun. So I love it.
I think they stole that all from Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare.
Thank you.
Reading the script, what was the event that you were like least or most looking forward to shooting?
Wow. You have to go back in time.
Yeah.
I had a monologue in the movie where I talk about the circus and being terrified of the circus and clowns. I think that was probably the scene I was most afraid to shoot. It didn't work in the movie, so they cut it out. But that was probably the one I was most nervous about.
I tell you one thing I do remember was, the scene where we go into the spaceship and I'm kind of doing this is decorated by Bozo. That was the scene where I was absolutely, I got my flop sweat, you know what that is, and I really thought I was destroying the entire movie, like I had ruined it, and my inability to act had finally been exposed. And, it was one of those scenes where I just couldn't get my lines right, and Stephen kept on saying, bigger, bigger, and the bigger I got, the more I just felt like I was completely being phony. And when I saw the movie, I was like, I knew exactly what he was going for, but at the time, everything about it just felt terrible and wrong, and I remember finishing that day just going, I just ruined Killer Klowns. Yes.
I've got no answer for you. I'm sorry. Yeah, it wasn't. I think you guys were tasked with probably more challenging stuff than I was.
We had to do a lot more of the hair on fire kind of stuff. And that stuff, like listen, you're doing that stuff in a vacuum a little bit, right? So you never really feel real yourself when you're doing it. So you're trusting somebody over there to go, yeah, I got what I wanted. Really? You know, because they're coming, you still know, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name's John, and one of my earliest memories is actually my father watching the VHS tape when I was way too young, and it was the scene where the popcorn clowns start to come to life and attack you, and it terrified me. But anyway, I'm a father, I have a young son too, and I'd love to show him this movie one day, but I feel like he's too young right now. I don't know if the 90s were different, letting kids see scary stuff at a really early age. What do you guys think about that? If you have any opinion.
You know, I can just say, being like a first-time older dad with a 9-year-old, I have my kid's a scaredy cat. He still hasn't watched Killer Klowns and he's 9, but since he was 4, he's been bringing me things from school from his friends that decide, that are big Killer Klowns fans. So, knowing all of these little kids, in real time right now, their brains are all kind of baking at different times in different ways. And some of the kids at 4 can be watching, Saw movies, and it seems to be, doesn't bother them at all. My kid freaked out and couldn't watch the rest of Toy Story when Woody got stuck in the back of the station wagon. You know what I mean? It was like, ah! And so they all kind of, they all kind of have their own wiring and their own thing, and I can say just trust that. You know what I mean? Trust it, like, even though you might have one kid, that doesn't mean the other one is something wrong with them. It just means that they're all, they're all kind of different, and they all just, you need to just kind of follow what they're telling you, know what I mean? I mean, he might be a huge horror fan in 5 years, you just don't know. And the other ones might start being scared, it's just, you just don't know.
Yeah, like right now he loves Chucky. He doesn't really know who Chucky is. He just likes the character. So.
He doesn't know he has a big butcher knife.
No, he's just a doll in the rainbow shirt. So.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you, it's nice meeting you.
Thank you guys. Give it up for the cast of Killer Klowns.